let's face it, meditation is not easy, right? Our minds are always doing this. They're spewing thoughts 24/7. That's what our brains do. They just spew thoughts. So when you're trying to be in the moment, you're in the moment, but maybe you're hungry. Maybe you want some chips. Maybe you're thinking about your appointment that's coming up, or maybe you're thinking about what you should have done yesterday. So it's pretty tough. And then when you finally get into it, then you are in a hurry. You got things to do. Your life is busy. Come on, inner peace. Let's do it. And when you finally settle down and you think everything is calm, then what does your brain do? It just feels like it's a big snarl of all of these thoughts. So what can we do? Is there a solution? Well, in a way there is, because that's what guided meditations are to help us do. And today we will talk about, and we'll actually do, a guided meditation called the RAIN meditation, which stands for Recognize, Allow, Investigate, and Nurture. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about mindfulness, because this particular technique is under a very large umbrella of what we consider mindfulness techniques, mindfulness meditation practices. So, a little bit of history. Mindfulness meditation originated from ancient Buddhist philosophy and dates back around 2,500 years. The term originally comes from the Buddhist concept of sati, which relates to the moment-to-moment awareness of present events. The modern translation of sati to mindfulness, however, came in 1881 when a British magistrate in Sri Lanka identified mindfulness as the closest translation of the Buddhist concept of sati. So I want to pause here to consider, if mindfulness is just moment-to-moment awareness of the present, shouldn't it be easy? I mean, that's where we all are. We're here, we're sitting in the present, but it's not easy. How many people find being present in the present moment easy? Yeah. No, it's not, because that's not how our brains are set up. Our brains are basically set up to be looking to see if there's a tiger coming out of the woods, and we have to be aware of that, whatever that tiger is for us. So this is Jon Kabat-Zinn, and he is the originator of mindfulness, the mindfulness movement here in the United States. He has a PhD in molecular biology from MIT and became interested in Zen Buddhism and meditation in the 1970s when he was still a student. In 1979, he founded the Stress Reduction Clinic at the University of Massachusetts Medical School, where he adapted a variety of Zen teachings to develop an 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction course, combining his science background with Buddhism. From its beginning in 1979, mindfulness-based stress reduction was envisioned as a public health project rather than a therapy. The aim was to move the bell curve of society in the direction of greater health and well-being on every level, from the individual medical patient or person trying to optimize their health to society more broadly and to the health of the planet as a whole. What a huge, admirable goal. Only to save the planet, right? I mean, only in the 1970s, frankly, this is what we were all about then. Such idealism. But Jon really accomplished much of what he wanted, because since that time, mindfulness-based practices are worldwide, and they have been adapted to every culture. So he was and is a real success story. Notice that he says here, the core invitation of mindfulness is for you to befriend yourself. That concept of self-compassion is integral to all mindfulness practices as well as healing work. And consider how alien that can seem to our Western minds. self-compassion. That is not usually what we give to ourselves. I mean, we have these inner voices, the inner critic. Does anyone have a really friendly, wonderful, nurturing inner critic? If you do, I want to talk to you and see what your secret is. But this is what meditation is to help us with. Jon goes on to say, mindfulness is essentially a universal approach towards suffering, especially suffering caused by our all too human tendency to be caught up in unhealthy mindsets, as well as often circumstances much larger than we are, which sometimes makes it difficult to be at home in our own bodies and our own lives. And I belong to, just as an aside, I belong to a meditation group, an online meditation group. And a lot of people in that group are either going through cancer treatment right now or are cancer survivors. And so you talk about folks that may not want to be in their bodies right now. They don't see their bodies as being friendly or a hospitable place to land. And the mindfulness practices helps everyone, not just them, but us, be present to what is, be present to ourselves and our bodies, and bring compassion, bring love, bring caring, which is very healing. Jon talks about embracing the full catastrophe of our lives, and I love that expression. He has a book called Full Catastrophe Living that is really kind of the Bible of mindfulness practices. But he says it right out, embrace the full catastrophe of our lives. He goes on to say, whatever it is for each of us that prevents us from recognizing and embodying our own beauty and belonging in the face of the full catastrophe of the human condition, mindfulness as both a formal practice and a way of being rapidly makes it evident that awareness itself is already free, both liberated and liberating from such automatic and usually unrecognized habits of mind. So awareness itself can liberate us from our mental habits and allow us to see all of the full catastrophe as being sacred and in need of honor. So let's move on to the RAIN practice. This is a mindfulness practice developed by Tara Brach, and those of you who do guided meditations online may be very familiar with her. She is a longtime author and meditation teacher. And she developed this in 2020, smack in the middle of the pandemic, which was a perfect time because a whole lot of folks needed some nurturing and some guidance during those very difficult years. So RAIN as an acronym, it means recognize. When you have emotions, and this is using when really difficult feelings come up. So you have an argument with your spouse, you have a fight with one of your children or co-workers, and you're feeling just really, really awful, and you have all these emotions. Also, you can look at it from a physical standpoint. You might have chronic pain, or you might have something that is disabling your body, and you're angry as all get out about it. You can use this to really help reduce that discomfort and bring some healing and loving kindness to that. So we recognize what's going on. We allow it to be present. And you know how we always make up stories about stuff. As human beings, we are storytellers. So whatever is going on, we're going to make up a story about it. Oh my God, do you know what happened? Let me tell you about that. And so did this, and so did that. And oh my God. But you allow this to be present with no story, no judgment. You just allow it to be in your body, and you feel it in your body. You investigate with care and gentleness which means you become curious about what's really going on when I feel this, when I'm feeling these emotions, what's really happening? And then you nurture it with self-compassion. And I think that's a piece that a lot of us miss completely. You might be recognizing your powerful emotions. You might be trying to integrate it. But we always miss the nurturing part, because most likely what you're doing is saying, how could I be so stupid? Oh my God, I just can't believe what an idiot I am. And you're missing the point when we do that. Because our mental chatter goes on in our brains ceaselessly, we can become oblivious to the punitive nature of that voice, that lack of compassion we can have for ourselves. And this practice that you can do for yourself at any time, or you can tune in to tarabrock.com and listen to her do it too, is very powerful and healing. And you can actually learn to do it very quickly in the moment that these things come up for you. In our meditation, the focus will be on an emotional issue, but remember, this can apply to anything that evokes strong, powerful emotions as well. So let's begin to actually do this. And Jake, if we could... I'm going to sit on my little stool. I have to sit on my stool. Okay, so as usual, get yourself in a nice, comfortable position. Let your eyes gently close. And begin to focus on your breath. Let yourself take a deep breath, sensing in that breath a deep inhalation of the healing gift of life, and then exhale and letting go. Think about the areas of your body that may be a little tense this morning. Maybe your shoulders. Make sure they're down from your ears. Let your shoulders relax. Soften the muscles around your eyes and your mouth. And let your hands just lay quietly in your lap, relaxed. When you breathe, let your belly be soft. Continue to relax into the movement of your breath. And when your mind starts to drift, let your thoughts be like clouds as they drift by with your breath. Now scan your life to see if there's a place of difficulty that is bringing up challenging emotions for you. A time you may have turned against yourself. Maybe a conflict with another person where you feel badly about yourself, or you feel badly about your behavior as a parent, as a partner, or a friend. Or maybe it's an addictive behavior that's really tough to kick. It could also be something physical. You may have chronic pain and it really makes you angry. As Tara Brach says, feel yourself slide into that trance of unworthiness. Recognize what's going on inside you. Let yourself really feel it. Whether it's anger, sorrow, shame, any of those emotions, just allow it to be as it is, without judgment, without story. You just make space for this moment. You make space for the feelings. Allowing makes it possible to deepen your attention to it. Next, we investigate with curiosity and gentleness. Like a detective, call on your natural curiosity, the desire to know the truth, and ask yourself, how does this emotion feel in my body? The most important piece here is the felt sense. Does this make my hands clench? Or my belly tight? Or my shoulders or neck ache? Connect with the embodied experience. What is it that I believe about myself? That no one will love me? That I should be doing something differently than I am? That I might be rejected? What is the story about my feelings? So now you look at the story. What is this telling me about myself? Where do you feel the most vulnerable? Is there a part of you that feels deficient, not good enough? And what does it want you to know? What does that part of you really need? Ask that part of yourself, that part that is hurting, how do you want me to be with you? What do you most need? Sense the possibility of responding to this part of yourself with your most compassionate and awakened heart. And call on your wisdom and love to offer what's needed. Now take your hand and place it over your heart. Feel the tenderness and care that's there. What message does that vulnerable part most need to hear? And can you offer that? Can you give that love to yourself? Say to yourself, I care about your suffering. If it's hard for you to give love to yourself, you might feel the love of God or the divine flowing through you. Call on that love and offer it inward to nourish yourself with compassion. Each time you nourish yourself with compassion, feel the light pouring in. Just the intention of self-compassion deconditions the tendency to be at war with yourself. As Rumi says, don't turn away. Keep your gaze on the bandaged place. That's where the light enters you. Explore what it really means to let in love and healing, what it means to be both the holder and the held. Now bring your attention back to your breath. And with your next breath, you come back to the room. But let yourself be relaxed. Let yourself breathe and become aware of the quality of presence. What is the sense of your own being now? How has this shifted from when you began the meditation? Sense the tenderness, spaciousness, and openness of being. What it feels like when we are not at war with ourselves. Oh, what a spoiler, right? This darn thing. Tara says, the beauty of this practice is in realizing that you are no longer imprisoned in or identified with any limiting sense of self. You can give yourself the gift of becoming familiar with the truth and the natural freedom of your being. So we'll end with a quote from an Indian master, Babaji, that says, "My child, break your heart no longer. Each time you judge yourself, you break your own heart. You stop feeding on the love, which is the wellspring of your vitality. The time has come. Your time to live, to celebrate, to see the goodness that you are. Let no one, no thing, no idea or ideal obstruct you. If one comes, even in the name of truth, forgive it for its unknowing. Do not fight. Let go and breathe into the goodness that you are." And before we end, I just wanted to, just a little personal story. Recently, I went back into therapy, as happens from time to time when you realize you're still not perfect. And you know how we do, we go into the traumas of the past, and you can kind of get back into all of that. Wah, wah. Or you're worried about the future, like maybe I'll die tomorrow. So my therapist asked me, what is it that you really want from our time together? And I thought about it, and I got this revelation, which is so simple. But this revelation was, really all I want is to be able to be present to my life the way it is right now. I'm tired of grieving the past or being anxious about the future. I really just want to be here now and be present to my life because it's pretty darn good. And I thought, but I have the tools. Right? I didn't even, it's kind of one of those things that's right in front of you and you don't see it. I thought, okay, I know how to do this. Having help is really great. But we do have the tools. And even sometimes when the present moment isn't that great, I mean, the present moment can be painful, emotionally, physically. But to be able to let it be just as it is and sit with it is amazing in its power to help you embrace it. So thank you very much.